Well, welcome back to another episode of the Highlands podcast. Thank you for joining us. We've had an incredible season with special guests. We just had some apologetics episodes, which has just been so awesome. Go back and listen to those if you have questions about faith or even friends that have questions about faith. Today, we're digging into another topic that's so important, and it's Serving 101. We've got our impact pastor here. You were with us a few episodes ago on our discipleship episode, Connect, Grow, Impact. So you're impact pastor. But I want to bring you on and dig a little deeper into this idea of serving. And so I want to start with you recently preached a message at our church, Serving 101, a great message. But yeah, you know, when you preach, you only have a certain amount of time and you're just there's so many things you want to talk about. And people they'll come up like, Pastor Jim, why don't you talk about this or this? I'm like, I only had 30 minutes, I couldn't get to every single nuance. So this is your opportunity. Yeah. Was there something that you left out of your message or you're like, I wish I would have said that? Or I always hate this. It's usually Sunday night. And I'm like, I forgot. I wanted to talk about why didn't I ever think about that? So is there something that happened that you're like, man, I wish I would have shared that in the message?
Yeah, great question. So I had like 3,500 words, so I needed to cut it down.
That's a lot of words. That's a lot of words.
But I think, it's funny because you think about your message at the night and, even after the first time you do it and you're coming back. But I think, the things that I really thought about and that came back to me were the benefits of serving.
Okay.
So we spent time talking about the gifts. We spent time talking about, how we can prioritize and what looks selfish and what doesn't. But we really didn't talk about the benefits of serving.
Yeah.
And so I looked back at my own life and what serving had helped me just when there was no money involved. Mm-hmm. And that's some of the best times because you really have to dig down deep and just say, hey, I really am doing this because at first I'm doing it because I'm told. Sure. Like I really may not know any better.
Yeah.
But I think there were things, and I kind of did some searching, but I was like, one of the biggest things is it stopped me from focusing on me. Mm-hmm. So it reduced some of the stresses I had in my life. If there were other things going on, I was busy about other stuff. Yeah. It helped me do that. The other thing it did, it increased my compassion.
That's good.
My heart, because I wasn't always very compassionate. Oh, I know. Mm-hmm. No, you're kidding. I wasn't very empathetic. And I think those are the things when I started to shift my focus from me to other people.
Takes your eyes off yourself.
Oh, man.
Looks out on everybody else.
You really do begin to genuinely understand how to care for other folks. Yeah. My kids had taught me that. Mm-hmm. But still, they're not your kids, right? Yeah, they're people we don't have this expected return relationship.
That's good. So, Matthew 9, Jesus, Matthew records that it's when Jesus saw the people, that's when he had compassion on them. That's good. And so that's part of serving, like actually see people, like see a need and see a broken family or a young man who's lost in his ways. You see those people, and that's when you want to serve. I love that.
That's good.
So that's great. Great message. We'll link to in the show notes to Serving 101, the message that you shared. And we'll dig into some things that you mentioned yesterday. The first, or in your recent message, the first thing that I wanted to talk through, and you actually shared this in your message, I think it's a key part of serving. We'll talk about benefits a little bit later. Yeah. But you talked about selfishness, about potentially being a big reason why people don't serve. Yeah. And maybe it's because they're not necessarily selfish, but they don't see people we just talked about, and they don't realize. But maybe that is a form of selfishness because you're like not seeing them, but you're seeing yourself. I don't know. Yeah. But why do you think selfishness is a big reason that people don't serve?
I think it's because, I was thinking about this. It's almost like a double-edged sword. Okay. We can be selfish externally in the way that we're monitoring our time, right? And we're prioritizing our time. But I think we can be unintentionally selfish when we start to evaluate ourself versus the role that someone or something needs.
Okay. That's good.
So I think there's some unintentionality in that because we're looking at ourselves. Right. As you just said, like, how do I fit to this or how do I qualify for this? It has nothing to do with our time. It's just now about the role. Now I'm looking at myself against this role, not really looking at who God has maybe called me to be.
Sure. So, that's good. I love that. Yeah. I think too, when we think about selfishness, that it's, I think we generally are selfish. I don't think it's that we're like 100%. All unselfish. I don't think we're just unselfish and we try to be, we're a little bit selfish. I think we're selfish and we actually try to be unselfish. Yeah. And so I think that's really, you mentioned it in your message of just when we are only here, even at let's take the church, when we're only here at a church because they have a class for my kids or they have a Bible study for me or they have a ministry that I like, that's still a selfish approach. Yeah. And it's hard because you go to a church because it serves your family. So that is a part. But then there has to come a point where that starts, okay, this is the church, serve my family, but now I need to go serve other people.
Yeah.
And why do you think that's a hard flip for people to switch? Like,
man.
They're here for them, which is the beginning of everyone going to church. That's fine.
Yeah.
But then to move into that, okay, now we're good. Let's go serve other people.
One of the biggest things, and as you think through serving, I think one is it gets really comfortable because nobody's really coming around saying, "Hey, did you serve today?
Yeah.
Hey, what'd you do with your life?
Sure. Yeah. Can you imagine?
What have you done with your time today?" Kind of brutal.
If you get a call from Pastor Jared, random, hey, what'd you do today with your life, bud? That's awesome.
But I mean, even, and I think that's what happens when relationships come in.
Yeah,
when we have relationships with people and I'm seeing the same folks coming to the group and I know they're not serving, then I think as leaders, we have the ability to be able to go and say, hey,
sure,
where are we making an impact?
I gotcha.
Right.
All right, so we got a lot of young families in the church, specifically here at the Highlands, and watching online or on our podcast and our services. And I'm a very practical guy, so even as I wrestle with serving and your message, I have a question. So how can that busy young family who they have kids in diapers, kids in t-ball, kids
You're bringing back memories,
like they're just like, Pastor Jared, I'm like already a Uber from like how in the world, where am I going to find the time to serve? Like, it's not even that they don't want to make an impact or they don't think it's neat, but they just don't know how. Like, how would you encourage them?
Yeah, I love that. I think it's a beautiful question because moms, we love you.
Yes.
Number one. Yeah. I go back to when Jamie and I were first. We had the kids and they were toddlers. Yeah. And we were trying to figure out, we were just at this new church. Yeah. And we were trying to figure out how do we get plugged in?
Sure.
So the first thing we had to do is actually trust that the child area was going to take care of our daughters. Mm-hmm. And that was a leap of faith because we didn't know them really well. But, they had some really cool people that were smiling all the time. Yeah. And it looked like it was pretty secure and safe, much like our Faith Factory here. Sure. And so we took the leap of faith to go ahead and drop our girls off. Okay. And they were in diapers. My daughter actually learned how to walk in church. So that's good. Yeah. That was the biggest thing. Sure. But I think we took the leap of faith to be able to say, you know what? One, I need to be able to bring my babies, and we have nursery care, right? Bring my babies, drop them off, and then be able to go sit in service. Right. Or to be able to go serve, because you can do both of those things. Sure. You can sit in one and serve one. Yeah, true. So I think the other thing is that I don't think oftentimes because it's a mom or a dad with their hands full that they're always thinking about how much we actually need them. Yeah. I think they know their kids need them, and that's a given. Yeah. Husband, wife, that's a given. Right. But there's a call on all of our lives, regardless of our situation. Yeah. And I think we can take it into consideration, and we have to, and weigh it out appropriately for each of our own lives. Yeah. But I think that call, it didn't say if you've got this going on or that going on. Right, and so we do have to be able to, I think, sit back and just digest that a bit and then get plugged in.
I love it because in your answer, you're not giving excuses. Like sometimes people are like, well, I guess I'm not going to do it now. Yeah. And there might be seasons, you know, like maybe a mom just gave birth. Okay. you need to spend some time with that newborn.
It might take you a year to come back. It might take some time.
I think sometimes we, even as followers of Jesus, it's not just serving, it's a lot of things. We allow seasons to just become a lifestyle. So now we're like, well, it's a season of sitting. Like for me, I came to the Highlands broken, and I needed a season to restore, to God to heal. But if that would have just that 2-year season end up being a 20-year lifestyle, like then I'm just, now all the things that God's doing, like now I'm just letting it spoil. Yeah. And I even think for this young family that we're talking about they've got all these different things going. I love what you said of, we're not making excuses, and we are actually, I've had parents like, I don't want my kids at church all day. And it's like, oh man, where else would you want them? Yeah. Like, is there a better place that you can think of than a church? So like you mentioned, you go to a service and then you serve at a service. And so now our kids are at 2 services. Sometimes your kids are here all day. My kids are here all the services now. And it's okay. Like, I don't feel bad that all of a sudden my kids Sunday mornings were at church. Like, what a legacy that would be for them. And I think parents kind of feel bad, like, well, I'm just keeping them whatever. But I think that's, I don't know. What would you say about that as far as families? Like, I don't know about I want them at church all the time.
I love that. I think oftentimes when we say, and this is for each one to be able to resolve within themselves. But for me, if I hear someone say that, they're actually not connected. Okay. The way that we would like them to be.
Okay.
And that's it's definitely a part of when I say something about something, what I believe, to be honest, is based on my experience.
Yeah, yeah.
So if I'm disconnected with the church, I'm not going to feel like being here all the time.
Sure.
It's actually fruitful.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So
good.
right. So if I'm here and I'm connected to people,
Right.
and I'm connected to different people throughout different areas, it starts to feel like family.
Yeah, that's true.
And then other people start to see your kids, or a teacher sees your kid, and like, hey, your kid was really awesome. Well, thanks. They weren't a nightmare.
Sure,
I appreciate it.
I know. Yeah. I can't remember this specific study. Years ago, when I was a youth pastor, I saw a study, probably done by Barna or Lifeway or some other group, of saying how actually kids who will walk with Jesus after they graduate from high school, one thing that was in common was they had 5 caring adults in their life. Yeah. Not just a mom or a dad, or we have single parents or whatever. Like, you still need more than that. So a youth leader, a Sunday school teacher, a coach, someone in their life when you think about parents having their kids here maybe for 2 services, like, you're actually exposing your kids to some caring adults that's helping you raise your kids. Yeah. And then I was thinking about this as you were talking about, I think for young families that are maybe struggling because life is so busy, is to just pick one thing. Like, we don't need you serving at 17 things. You don't got to be here every night. Yeah. But just pick one thing. Maybe it's the best. You probably have had this experience as well, but I felt like the best serving experiences when the girls were young were things that we could do together. Yeah. And so, like, maybe they helped me. My first serving experience here at the Highlands was a 3rd grade. I taught 3rd grade for almost a year, and it was awesome. And I remember, like, even the girls were young. I think they were 2nd and maybe kindergarten at the time, and it was just even having them help me get some stuff ready for the class. Yeah. And then I would show them the classroom that I was teaching in. But you're engaging them into serving. Some people like to separate things so much. I don't think it's healthy.
I don't either. I love that because it's actually how me and the girls actually got to serve too. Yeah. I did 3rd, 4th grade, and 5th grade. Yeah. For like a year and a half. Yeah. I was teaching them kids and doing the small groups. We'd meet for church and break off. But my daughter might be in the group I'm in or be in another group. Yeah. And I love it here. Amaya's connected with Pastor Jackie. Yeah. And being able to have those exchanges and have conversations for a young girl, 12 years old,
that's good.
That is growing up with Christian characteristics.
That's good.
And actually people that she can talk to outside of her parents. We need it. I don't want to be the only person. Are you kidding? There's enough.
Yeah, I know.
I love that.
We need help. We need help. I love that. Just busy families, young families, everyone can serve in some capacity. Let's talk about, you mentioned a resource you've been working on for quite some time. You're calling it S.H.A.P.E Assessment. And for those maybe who missed the message or maybe catching up with us, can you give us just a little bit of a description of what that is?
Yeah, I love that. We got a chance to talk about it, so that was cool. Yeah. But it's essentially a spiritual gifts assessment that takes into consideration the things you're passionate about, your heart, some abilities or things maybe you've done, experiences, things you've taught, or even some pain. So what were some really painful moments that you had? Or moments where God showed up in your life that was just outside of the ordinary? What I've found is that most times people don't think about those things. Okay. As we're moving through life, we don't always remember what God has done.
Right.
And so we forget that sometimes what he's done is aligned with how he's gifted us. And we keep these things so separate. So what I really do love about the S.H.A.P.E Assessment is it puts everything in one. Okay. It's not this perfect thing, right? Sure. I think it's a step, right? It's not going to tell you who you are. Yeah. That's for God to do in his spirit, right? But I think it does take us in that second practical step to be able to say, these are some things I'm gifted in.
Yeah, that's good.
Based on how I answered the questions, right? And as I said, not where I think I am, but where I am actually, that's honestly.
Yeah. So Paul talks about the church in 1 Corinthians and other places in the Gospels of that the church is a body and everybody has parts. And I think this helps us because it's even understanding what part we are and play. And I think your assessment helps us understand like I had someone recently of like, well, Pastor Jeremy, I'm an introvert. So where can I serve? Like, there's a place for you. Like for me, you mentioned you taught 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. I taught 3rd grade as well. Yeah. 3rd grade was like the youngest I was willing to go because I'm like anybody younger than that, I just can't do.
You need to be able to speak.
I can't. Like I need some level to be able to connect already. Yeah. And so just knowing like maybe who I was and even maybe some limitings that I had. And I think for people, it's maybe they really have a heart of like there are some people that are deathly terrified of teenagers. Yeah. If get them in with teenagers, they're calling the cops. Like they're like, I don't know what I don't know, and they can't handle that. But maybe they can help in another area that they just didn't. And so I think sometimes people quit, and you can tell me where you think on this, but I think some people don't serve or stop serving because they're in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Like they weren't in the right, and so maybe they missed an assessment, or they just felt like, well, someone told me there's a need in this ministry. I just want to go help. So let me just go fill that hole.
Yes.
But they didn't actually take the time to say, well, how has God gifted me? Because we'd rather have people serving for years than serving for just a small season because it filled a hole.
That's right.
And so just really understanding that. So we're going to put the QR code on the screen, and you can scan that. Make sure you take that.
Yeah.
Where do those go? They go straight to you?
Go directly to me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a system.
You're going to make some phone calls.
We have a system.
I know who you are.
It's great. It's great info. We don't have a bunch. We have your email. And we got your names.
And it gives a personality profile as well.
It does.
Which is interesting.
Taps into kind of that dominance or, influencer or, steadiness type person or conscientious type person. So that DISC framework.
And then it reveals like the top 3 spiritual gifts that they would have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Top 3, and it rolls out. It'll roll out 11 or 12. But it does. It when you see it, one of the things I loved is that when you see the printout, the PDF, and you're actually walking through it, you start to say, oh, wow, I kind of remembered some things. And now you have something you can walk with.
Yeah. That's
now
good.
you have something like, oh, I do have mercy for people.
Yeah.
Like I do care about people. I genuinely care about people who are hurting.
Right.
Man, we have a great outreach that we can get you connected to. So there's specific, and I think one of the things is as we move in to being able to display the roles and the different areas that people can jump into and serve. The time commitments, right? Like you said, we don't need you here 50 hours a week.
No.
An hour. Right. Start with an hour.
Right.
Start there and then watch your life begin to shift and mold around that hour.
That's good.
And that's, I think, the beautiful thing about serving.
And then conversely, it shows them what gifts they don't have to help them not go. Like if they don't have a gift of helps, then don't be an usher.
Don't put me in nursery. I'm not taking care of babies.
I know.
I'm sorry. I love them, but I'm not taking care of them.
You don't have a gift of teaching, don't teach a class
That's
or
right.
lead a small group. Okay, that's good. That's good.
I love that.
And if you don't have worship giftings, don't sing.
Yeah, no.
Like me. That's okay. There's other ways for us to serve. All right, you mentioned something as well of, and we're taking our church specifically here at the Highlands. But I actually think that what's happening here is reflective of a lot of churches. But you stated about 25% of our church serves, and really a good percentage. We could even say maybe healthy, although I don't want people to think it's unhealthy if lower. But I know what you're talking about. It's about 50%.
Yeah.
And so let me ask you a couple questions. Why don't you think that number's higher? Like, why is it only, so basically 1 out of every 4 people that go to our church serve.
Yeah.
1 out of 4, which means 3, I don't know what they're doing.
That's right.
But they're not serving.
Yeah.
So why isn't that number higher? And then how can we help? And I know we're talking about numbers, and sometimes people get skittish about numbers. Like the church is all about numbers. It's like, no, the numbers mean stories and names.
That's right.
And all those things.
Yeah.
So how can we help increase that number, not just for the number, but actually increase people to serve more? So you're saying 1 out of 4 serve. We really need to see 2 out of every 4 serve.
Yeah.
And then I know you mentioned yesterday, we want 4 out of 4 serving. But let's start with the 1 to 2.
We'll start
to 2 first.
Yeah, we'll start.
So why isn't that number higher? What do you think that is?
Yeah, I think oftentimes, and I can go back to my own experiences and people I've spoken with, especially and specifically around here at the Highlands, is I don't think we talk about it from a perspective of God has gifted you to do it all the time. I think we use things that say, hey, we need you. Okay. We need you. And like I said, we absolutely do. But it's more that God needs you to do what He's asked you to do, right?
Yeah.
There is a concrete kind of thing to that.
It's kind of the same thing what we do with money.
Yeah.
That, church people get, church talking about money again, and they kind of think about that connection between them and the church. Yeah. It's actually the connection between them and God with money. And it's the same with serving. Interesting.
It is.
Because now it's like, well, the church is fine, but that's not the point.
That's right.
About your money or about serving. That's
right.
It's really about your heart with serving.
It both comes back to the same thing. When I know how to prioritize my finances and I walk in that principle of giving and generosity and tithing to begin with, my heart changes.
Yeah.
The same thing happens with serving.
Yeah.
As we do it, we begin to look at people differently.
Right.
I don't look at what people owe me.
Yeah.
I look at what I can give them.
Right.
And what I can share.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's a shift of the heart, and then it shifts your mind. And,
right. Yeah, that's good.
Absolutely.
That's good. Okay. And then how can we move that number forward?
I think we're doing it.
Okay.
You know, when we asked in service, you know, how many actually knew, just by a show of hands, how many knew about spiritual giftings?
Sure.
It's a very few.
Yeah.
Very few. Yeah. And the room was pretty packed.
And,
and that means a lot to me. There was a bunch, and the hands were scattered. And,
right.
and so when I sit back and I come out, and obviously you have feedback from the church, and people share and say, man, this was great. Yeah. This was great. We got to talk about this some more. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm so glad you enjoyed it, because I was hoping it was going to be beneficial for you. Yeah. And that we could learn together. The whole idea is we're learning together. We're growing together. I don't have ultimate answers. I know we don't have all of the answers. Sure. We place the biblical truths in front, and it's up to the congregation to take them and run with them. Like, just sprint. You're going to be fine. Right. Yeah. But I think that's one of the ways. I think we're taking some practical steps. We're talking about it. We're putting out the S.H.A.P.E Assessment so that folks have something concrete in hand. And then as they come next week, you're invited, everyone, as they come next week to the Impact Day here at the Highlands, that they will bring those assessments, see the roles that are available throughout the church, both here and then outside in outreach, and be able to just get plugged in. Sure. At least an hour a week. Right. That's it. Yeah, that's good. Start there. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. You know, Amy and I have talked about that, doing us more teaching and leading on spiritual gifts, and how that, you know, it's funny because, you know, people will say, you know, I want you to do this series, or I want this message, or whatever. And it's like, there's not enough Sundays for everybody's favorite things. Sorry. Only favorite things. But that's something that we've talked about doing more of. I think you're right. I think just an awareness, but also just teaching about what. Yeah. I do believe that people that generally people that attend church, or even maybe specifically our church, really want to grow in their faith. Yeah. But sometimes it's just not even, it's a lack of know-how of like, well, what does that mean? Or that, you know, that happens all the time where it's like a brand new like concept that they just like, I didn't even know that was in the Bible. Like, and so understanding a little bit more about that, I think it's gonna be really, really good. Thank you for bringing some more awareness to that. Yeah. All right, I want to do our lightning round with you. I have 5 statements. We're not giving a lot of thought or time. Oh my goodness! Not that we're just like the hot take segment of the podcast. Yikes! But just curious of what your gut reaction is to like these statements. Okay, and so here's the first one: Christian, and I want you to fill in maybe the blank. Okay, or the end of the sentence. Christians don't serve because. Oh wow! So I'm going to go with. Christians don't serve because we don't always manage our time well, and we're a little selfish. Okay, that's good. So I think time management is a big thing. Yeah. I didn't realize how bad I was at time management until I got a job that required me to do some of it, that required me to be at places. Yeah. But then even outside of that, as I started serving and caring about folks, it made me want to be there all the time. And so there was a team I was a part of. All right, I changed my mind. I'm making this into a hot take segment, and I'm going to fill this out, and then you tell me what you think. All right. Christians don't serve because they think someone else will do it. Oh, that's good. Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the other things that came up was feelings of inadequacy. Okay. Fair enough. Was the other thing. Fair, yeah. Maybe I don't know enough to actually know what's involved. Yeah. And so I don't know if I'm actually capable of doing it. Yeah. But and that's a real thing. It is. Yeah. It is. I think we hype it up in our mind so much that you have to have like a master's, or you have to have this something or whatever. Man. But it's like, but you can help us park cars. You can help us greet. You can shake someone's hand. Absolutely. Tell them hello. Say thanks for being here. Yes. Like everyone's qualified for that, and just finding the right roles. All right. Love that. You talked about this earlier, but let's dig into this for just a moment. One benefit of serving is increased compassion and empathy. Okay. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's good. How do you think that would shape people's worldviews when they serve? You know what I love about compassion is that it's not just about me feeling good about others, but it's actually taking action to be a part of that feeling. Yeah. And so when we take actions as Christians, we're actually walking out that compassion. That's good. we're shaking a hand or saying hello or grabbing a cup of coffee or water for somebody, we're actually operating outside of ourselves. Yeah, that's one of the best ways to kill pride and, help our egos get in the right place and just serve people.
What do you think about this? And this is me theorizing. But mental health crisis is on the rise. Anxiety, depression, suicide rates are on the rise. But do you know what's on the decline? Generosity, serving, volunteering. This is just me theorizing. I'm wondering, though, as those things rise and these things fall, if there is a connection. And the reason I say that is I remember, going through a divorce and meeting with a counselor. One of the very first things he told me was, Jeremy, I know you're going through a lot right now and life is hard for you, but you've got to go serve people. And I'm like, Jay, I don't want to hear that. Don't talk to me about serving people. I don't want to serve anybody. I'm just thinking about myself. And actually for several months, I didn't because it was just all about me. Yeah. But what's interesting is it wasn't like this like huge thing. Because I remember I was actually working at a high school district, and there was an opportunity for me to kind of serve somebody in a special way. It was a small way, but it was special to me. Yeah. And just how that entirely changed my outlook. Because now instead of focusing on, and here's what's interesting about serving people, you always find people who are in worse spots than you. Yeah. And so then I found a person who was actually in a worse spot than I was. And I was like, okay, God, actually, thank you. You give me some blessings that I've forgotten about. Yeah. And I'm just wondering, and you mentioned about empathy, compassion, those are things that our world is severely lacking. Yeah. And I think that's a way to bring that back into our world and our life is actually through serving other people.
I love that. I've had some of the best conversations with folks. Yeah. And it's amazing how God moves to orchestrate those conversations. Yeah. Because when you think you're the one that's got it worst or that the most horrible things are happening, oftentimes you find someone that is a little bit more worse off. Yeah. That you have now been in position to serve.
That's true.
And it happens over and over again.
That's good. Yeah. I love that. All right, next statement. One easy way to serve is what?
Greeting.
Okay. Greeting. Can you say good morning?
That's with a smile.
With a
you
smile.
You don't even have to say how are you doing and leave it open-ended.
True. Yeah.
You can just say good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Highlands.
Yeah, that's good.
That's it. It's good
Qualified.
to see you. Bam. Qualified. Done. We'll plug you in right now.
There's a lot of easy ways and easy wins too. I think even like serving, it may be a little bit more time, but even the food pantry, can you carry food bags, to a car? We like we mentioned last statement, we do hype ourselves up. Yeah. And actually when you reduce serving down to like the key essentials, it's like, do you love Jesus and do you love people? Go serve.
That's it.
Go serve. I love Jesus in the Gospels. He sends out his disciples 2 by 2, and he's telling them to go like evangelize and all these things. Yeah. But he didn't do like a lot of training. Like they didn't do like, evangelism 201, 301, 401. It was just like love people.
That's it.
Share the message. And by the way, if they don't like it, go to the next one. It's okay. Yeah. Relax. Yeah. Relax.
Yeah. I love that. Just ask. Don't scream at them. We'll teach you how to de-escalate.
Yeah. I want to take you all the way back when you first became a Christian. Oh. And what was your first serving opportunity? Like, I don't know how, you were like maybe 19, 20?
Yeah.
Your first serving opportunity at church was what?
Oh my goodness. Chairs and toilet plunging. Okay. I did that way back when too.
We need a ministry of toilet plunging.
We do. I was like the master toilet plunger.
Okay.
And chairs.
Yeah.
Organizing stuff, putting things away.
Yeah.
If there was something that needed to be set up, I could help set up.
Yeah.
Tear downs, things like that, because I could come different hours or whatever, or show up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's funny. People don't realize how often chairs are moved around at churches.
Oh my!
I have set up
hours.
Thousands. I have set up thousands upon thousands of chairs.
Yeah.
Whether it's growing up, even as a youth pastor, whatever, like thousands of chairs, and it's just the small things. Yeah. That I think it's so important. That's
it's
good.
Huge. It sets the tone for people to have a seat.
Yeah.
We don't realize if we didn't have chairs to set up, we'd be sitting on the floors.
Yeah. My first serving job was, I was a little younger than you. I was probably like kindergarten. My mom was a Sunday school teacher, and I helped in her class. I think she probably she taught the big kids,
Yeah.
Kindergartner. I think it was like 4th grade, but they were the big kids to me. And I passed out the little not bulletin, but the little coloring page or whatever it was for the kids, or activity sheet or whatever.
Awesome.
And so just doing that, and there's a lot of things I can remember my parents.
Oh gosh.
Kind of going back to that original conversation involving our kids, my parents was example of that. Everything they were doing, we were doing. My sister and I. My mom to go clean the church, I'm going with her. My dad's going to help build something for whatever at the church, I'm off with him.
Yeah.
I just think it's so important that, because sometimes parents think of with separating, but no, just grafting, including. Yeah. I love it. And just amazing to think about what everyone's first serving opportunity was, because it's so important. Yeah. Because you hold on to that. Last one is this, and this one's more of a fill in the blank. We miss out on what when we don't serve?
Oh man, camaraderie, love, joy. Mm-hmm. We miss out, I believe, on what God's gift for us to operate together was and is. Mm-hmm. There's a gifting in operating together.
Yeah, that's good.
So
that's good.
We miss out on a lot.
Yeah. I think I would maybe we miss out on growth. I think we miss out on growth when we don't serve. I think that serving is such a key component of the Christian life. Peter talks about it. James talks about it. We are saved for good works. We're saved to do these things that make a difference. And I think we miss out when we don't do that.
That's good.
Any last thoughts on serving?
Oh, I think it's, like you said, we miss out on a ton. It's extremely important.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is, if you don't know what to do, it's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to create a serving opportunity for yourself.
Sure.
We have plenty.
Yeah, I know. It's true.
We have so many. And if there's something that you're seeing that we need and it's just not there, we'll sit down and talk about it.
Yes, I agree. I've had people tell me, Pastor Jim, I have the heart for this. And I'm like, that's great. Can you help us start it? Well, I actually need you to start it. Yeah. I'm like, no. Maybe you're better than I. You're probably.
No, I'll talk to you about it.
You have more empathy, I think, than I do. I'm just like, no. But I think it's if God has given you a heart for whatever that is, act on it.
That's right.
That's not like a pastor's role to just.
No, we don't need to roll out everything.
We need you. We need you. So if you're watching, let me encourage you. Right now, at our church specifically, maybe at the church that you're part of, if you're not part of the Highlands, 1 out of 4 people are serving. We've got to bump that up. We have too many people to reach, too many homes to impact and families to engage. And so we need you. It's not because someone else is going to do it, because the church is too large. They don't need me. We need you. And so thank you, Pastor Jared, for this great encouragement. Thank you for your message on Serving 101 and for this follow-up podcast. I can't wait to see what God's doing. And Amen. I want us to get to 4 out of 4. So,
me too.
And you got 6 months to do it. I'm just kidding.
Oh, no.
I really believe, though, that God is going to be using this. I love the S.H.A.P.E Assessment. And if you haven't taken that yet, make sure you take that. And we'll see you next time. Next episode, I'll have my wife back. We're looking at Baptism 101. We're talking about 2 baptisms, water and Holy Spirit. It's going to be a great conversation. We're wrapping up this season with just a couple of episodes left. It's been an encouraging and incredible season. I can't wait to see you next time on the Highlands Podcast.